Hi everybody and welcome to Cruise Control with David. In today's video I'm going to be showing you around Funchal in Madeira. We were on the Piano Iona in January 2024 doing a Canaries cruise, and Madeira is always a staple stop for Canaries cruises, especially those cruises that are departing from Southampton. So if you're on a no-fly cruise, you are going to likely pop into Madeira on your way down to the Canaries. And I also know that if you do one of Morella's very popular Canaries cruise, Funchal is always a destination on their itineraries. Now it is a place that I would recommend you get off and have a look around. It is a beautiful city. It is built on the side of a mountain, but don't worry, if you want to get to the top of that hill or the top of the mountain, you can take the cable car. However, if you're scared of heights and don't fancy taking the cable car to the top, then stick around because we're going to do that journey for you. But if you don't have an issue with heights and you enjoy these sort of excursions, I would really recommend a cable car ride to the top. The price for the cable car is actually quite reasonable. So you can see there you're paying 18 euros for an adult, 9 euros for a child. So for 36 euros, my husband and I had a really exciting ride to the top of the hill, a good look round, and I thought it was great value for money. So as you can see, we came into the building itself, into the cable car house, bought our tickets, paid on card very easily. The staff speak English if you struggle with your Portuguese, and the queue was not long at all. Now I know in the summer months the queue can be quite long, especially if there are a number of ships in port, but on the day in question that we were there, I think we waited at most 15 to 20 minutes. This is one of my favourite parts, watching the cable cars come slowly round the bend, and I've got my fingers crossed, hoping that everyone due to get on is going to make it on in time before it starts its journey back up the hill. Is everyone going to make it? Are they going to make it? Yes, they did. I don't think they have any problems, to be honest with you. I don't know why I get myself so anxious about it. As you can see, we made it into our cabin without any issues, and yes, that's what they are called. I thought they were called cars, but they're called cabins. Now this particular cable car was built in September 1999, and it was on, or the route for the cable car was chosen to replace what used to be called the old Monte railway, which ran from 1886 to 1943. The bottom station is located at Almirante Reis Park in central Funchal, and the length of the cable car is 3,173 meters, and the height difference between the lower station and the upper station is 560 meters, and the total journey time from bottom to top, or top to bottom, is roughly 15 minutes. So you start off the journey quite close to the rooftops of the buildings, and what I really admire about Funchal is the uniformity of colour to the buildings and the rooftops, which I think just makes the city look all the more special and all the more beautiful. It's this lovely sort of sea of orange or terracotta orange, sort of sloping up the mountainside, and when you're traveling over the top of it in the cable car, it just looks like this sea of floating orange sort of roofs. It's pretty spectacular. On the day in question, you can see it's quite overcast. It was warm, it was about 14-15 degrees Celsius, but it was overcast. And I have done this cable car before when it's beautiful and sunny, and those rooftops sort of glisten in the sunshine, and it is very beautiful. So if you are in Funchal on a sunny day, I would really recommend this ride up. So we managed to make it to the top, and thankfully the cloud cover wasn't as low as we thought it might have been. So we had a good view down the side of the mountain, and we were going to have a quick wander around. there are a number of tourist attractions at the top of the mountain when you get off the cable car, so you don't have to go just all the way up and then go down. You can go to the Monte Palace Tropical Gardens, which is a wonderful collection of trees, shrubs and flowers, and not just local ones but examples from all over the world. Now, as you can tell, we came up a steep slope, so the gardens go down a steep slope, so just be careful with your footing. On this occasion, we took a walk to the right when we left the cable car station and headed towards the Monte parish church and a little coffee shop there that has some spectacular views across the valley down to the city centre. Another thing that you can do is take a toboggan down through the streets of Funchal. It is a bit of a white knuckle ride, and I did it a good couple of years ago. I would highly recommend it to anyone. You can buy tickets for the toboggans down in the city. Just go to any local tourist shop, or you can book the excursion through your cruise operator. This beautiful little church that we're looking at in Monte is the Chapel of Our Lady of Conception, and not contraception, as I mistakenly referred to it when discussing the church with some friends when we got back on the ship. Now, the chapel was initially built in 1420 with some restorations done in 1773, 1908, and it has been in its current decorative format since the early 20th century. The church exterior is in neoclassical style and the interior is baroque with extensive gilding. Now, the gilding was absolutely beautiful, and I'm sure on a sunnier day with that light coming through the windows it would have been beautiful. Now, this was our destination for the morning tour up to the top, was to visit this lovely little cafe with some amazing views over Funchal. As you can see, that's the walk that we've just come along, and this beautiful little cafe sits on the edge of the ravine, and I don't think this camera actually picks up how verdantly beautiful the scenery is. Just a quick break. You see those baskets? They are the toboggans which you ride down the streets of Funchal back towards the city centre. So we've had a cup of coffee. It was beautiful. I have to say, one of the best coffees I've had in a long time, and we really do enjoy our coffees there. So we headed back to the cable car station, and we thought we'd just have 5-10 minutes watching the cable cars come in and out before we popped back down to Funchal Central. Our next stop, which is one of our favourite stops, is the Mercado dos Lavadores, which is the flower market, but it also has a fish market at the back, which is extremely interesting to visit. Now, the flower market is a traditional Portuguese flower market, so it's built around a central courtyard with each of the vendors having stalls or small shops around the edges. You can go in there and buy some of the most beautiful flowers you've ever seen, and they sell my favorite flower, which is the strelitzia, or better known as the bird of paradise. It's a flower that you can find very commonly in South Africa, but it is also found here in Funchal or in Madeira, and the specimens that they have at this market are absolutely gorgeous. The market itself was built in the early 20th century. And is not just a tourist attraction, but it is a working flower market. And what's beautiful is all the store holders, all the ladies who run these stalls, all dress up in traditional Madeiran costume. Now, here's the strelitzia, the birds of paradise, and just above that, another one of my favorite flowers, which is the king protea. Now, the protea is a South African flower. It's from the fynbos family, which is an extremely rare family of flowers. It's a unique family of flowers that's only found in the Cape region of South Africa, but for some reason those flowers seem to take to Madeiran climate very well. Now, as you can see, it is this central courtyard, open central courtyard, with cafes, little restaurants and markets around the edge. So if you want to maybe buy some flowers or some seeds or get some fruit and vegetables or some apparel or some bags, they've got some lovely leather works there as well. You can pick them up there. And each stall is really set out beautifully. As you can see, all the beautiful fruits set out in a very attractive manner. And it's also double story, so you've got your stalls downstairs and your stalls upstairs. And for those of us who are practically minded, this market has free access to good quality and clean toilets. So after getting off the cable car and having your coffee at 500 meters, you can head off to the market and use the bathrooms before you head on your way. Now, we're now having a quick look at the fish market. It obviously isn't as busy as it might have been a couple of hours earlier in the morning. The fish, however, is always fresh. I love the smell of fresh fish. I don't mind the smell of these markets. I find it quite exciting. But if you are sensitive to the smells of fish, then it might not be your cup of tea. What I love about this market is you get to see a delicacy of a fish, which is the black scabbard fish, which we've just seen there. They can grow up to 80 centimeters long and are a very important delicacy or dietary staple, not so much a delicacy, within the Iberian Peninsula and around Madeira. There are also a great selection of other fishes that you can have a look at, so it's well worth a visit. After our look around the fish market and flower market, we headed out to have a wander around the retail shops and the shopping streets of Funchal. Now, Funchal has a brilliant array of shops that you can look through. So there's the chains, so you'll find Douglas for your perfumes, Zara, Massimo Dutti for your clothing, and there's some really nice small independent shops selling anything from shoes through to knitwear to suits. The streets themselves are narrow, but nice wide pavements, because as you can see, lots of cafes, somewhere where you can get a coffee and a pastel de nata if you would like. Now, if you've never had a pastel de nata before, it is a custard tart that is a Portuguese speciality. And they make some really nice pastel de natas in Funchal and Madeira, so I would suggest you grab a cup of coffee at one of these street side cafes and help yourself to a pastel de nata. As you walk along the streets towards the centre of Funchal from the flower market, you will come across this building, which is the Funchal Cathedral, better known as the Cathedral of Our Lady of the Assumption, built in the 16th century, completed in 1514. It is a Catholic cathedral, and interestingly, it is one of the last remaining original buildings that were built at the time of Madeira's initial colonization. So the building hasn't been raised and rebuilt. It is still the original building, and it is absolutely spectacular inside, and we're going to have a quick look now. Again, you will notice the amount of gilt work, which again I suppose is indicative of the richness and wealth of the Portuguese Empire from the 1500s onwards. Madeira was an important stop-off point for vessels leaving the European continent on their way to the Americas to, well, I suppose, plunder and pillage. So yeah, anyway, as you leave the cathedral, you'll come out onto one of the main streets where there are a number of cafes and shops. There is some beautiful eateries along this route, and I would suggest that if you have time, stop off at one and maybe have some lunch in the open air. The time of year we went was January, and people were sitting outside. Okay, one or two people may have had a jumper on, but there were people sitting out and eating out and having a lovely afternoon. Another thing that I admire about Funchal is the mix of architecture. So you'll have colonial 15th, 16th century buildings right next door to, as you can see here, some very modernist 20th century buildings. And as we head down back towards the cruise ship, we obviously head towards the harbour area and the shorefront. And here's a lovely Madeira sign where you can go and get your snaps, your holiday snaps, to prove that you've been to Madeira. And you can also get some really good snaps or wide angle snaps of your cruise ship, especially if you're visiting Madeira via cruise, which we did on that day. Now I hope you have enjoyed our whistle stop tour around Funchal. There are loads of things to do, so we have only just shown you a very small sample of things, but if you're short on time like we were, so we had to get back to the cruise ship, you can do a number of things and still get a really good flavour or taste of what there is in Funchal. So I hope you enjoy yourselves. Thanks very much for watching this video, and yeah, if you liked what you saw, please give me a thumbs up. If you love Funchal and you've been before and you have some suggestions that people could visit or see or do, please leave them in the comment box. Anyway, I hope you guys seize the day, and I will speak to you soon. Bye bye everyone.